This conversation begins with the statement, the invisible paintbrush. The invisible paintbrush. How many of you have ever painted, physically painted a room in your house? Or you might have painted your whole house. How many of you can raise your hand and say that? Well, if you have, you know it's a lot of work. Just going to the store and picking out the color paint, that's a task within itself, because you want to get it just right. You want that color to be exactly the color that you want for your particular house or a particular room in your house. And so that's shopping around and finding the exact color that will benefit what you're trying to accomplish. Now, you know that's not all. You have to buy all the tape that you need to kind of taper some things down. You need to buy the right paint brushes and the paint rollers. And so you got all this equipment you have to buy. The little bucket for the paint, the tray for the paint brushes. There's just so much involved. But the most important thing is that, when you get home, it's time to get to work. That's the most important thing, is that you set up yourself to paint. And so here comes the what I call labor intense part. Is prepping everything, putting the tape around the edges of the door frame, or putting the tape around the floor, around the edges of the floorboards, and then covering everything up. Every piece of furniture, carpet if you have carpet. But now you're doing all this prep work, which takes up most of your time. And this is the labor intense part. But how many of you know that when you get ready to paint, that's almost like the easiest part, because you got everything covered up and you can just throw your paint up on the wall. You just got it going everywhere. You're rolling it up and down, and if you put a primer, you throw that on the wall first, and you've got it all going. And so when you get through, though, watch this. When you finish painting, the one thing you do is you unprep everything. You take everything off, because now the paint is dry. And when you get ready to talk to your friends about the paint that you did, the painting that you did, you never mention all the prep work. You never mention what it took to get it done. All you talk about is how beautiful it is and what a great job you did. That's all you talk about. You don't go into the details of what it took to get there. You just talk about how beautiful it is. How many of you have ever went to what they call a sip and paint? It's sip and paint. Have you ever been to one of those? It's a sip and paint outing. It's where you go and they have an instructor at a facility, and he's got all these frames up, and he's got these canvases up, and he's got this like big sketch in front of you, and he's teaching everyone how to paint, and it's pretty sharp. So you sit there and you start painting maybe like a mountain and a couple of trees and the sun, and you're sipping every now and then, because it's a sip and paint. So he's got you engaged in painting this picture. Now you've never painted before, but you're intrigued, and so you're doing the best you can. And when you finish, guess what you do? You put your initial on the bottom of this picture. That's what you do. You put your initial on the bottom of this painting. And then you take it home. This is what's so good. You take it home and you put it in a place where everybody can see, because at this point you think that you're ready for the big times. You think you've created something so masterful, but you did, because you did it. And no matter how it looks, it's something that you did. That's the way you've been created by God. You are a masterpiece. God created you, and when God created you, keep in mind, there's no better designer than God. We like wearing designer clothes, designer hats, designer purses, designer shoes. We like wearing all the top brands, if you will. But there's no topper brand, if you will. There's no better brand than Jesus. So Jesus created you as one of the best masterpieces ever created. You need to wear that brand just like that. That's the brand you need to wear. The brand of being created and original. You are a classic. I want you to feel that way about yourself, because most of us don't. Most of us, we feel that we just going along to get along. But no. Baby, Jesus created you. And when you were created by him, oh my gosh, you were birthed by a designer, the original, the best designer that's ever been created, ever been born. And so don't take that lightly. Make sure that you're proud of who you are and whose you are. Don't let someone just put you down. Don't let someone tell you that you're less than. No, no, no. You are a masterpiece created by the master himself. Now, my wife and I, we love going to museums, and when we get a chance, we'll visit a museum. And let me tell you why. We can't fly all over the world, and neither can you probably. But to go all over the world and see all the best artists and some of the best artwork, it's difficult to do that. But at the museum, all the artists' work, they're in one place. I mean, just think about it. You're sitting there looking at the Spanish painter Pablo Picasso. And then you've got the Dutch painter Rembrandt. You got his work sitting there as well on display. And then you've got the Italian sculptor Michelangelo. And many other artists, their work is on display in one place. I mean, these are people who know how to paint, who know how to design and be creative and develop things out of clay. I mean, some of the best in the world. And it takes them months, if not years, to create these masterpieces of work. And so when you think about you painting at your house and you're Rembrandt, let's be for real, that's where you are in your house, and you're Michelangelo, and you're really doing your thing because it's what you're doing and it's what you put your hands to do. Well, that's the way you should feel about it because you've done it. But these are some of the best artists in the world, and so we love to go into museums to see their work and how they have really put the time in and just how gifted they are. Well, let me tell you something. Have you ever listened to a speaker who can tell a story and by telling a story, I mean, their words are so profound that when they're talking, it's almost like you're there. I mean, they tell a story that paints a picture in your mind that makes you feel like you're right there in the presence, like you're part of the story. That's what a real good storyteller can do, a good speaker who knows his craft very well. Well, let me tell you something, women, my sisters, let me talk to you for a moment. You are some of the greatest storytellers that's ever lived. Yes, you are. You can speak in such a way that you tell a story. I liken you to an artist with an invisible paintbrush. You can paint a negative story, or you can paint a positive story with your spoken words. And that's what women do. You do that so well. Let me give you some insight. That dude that you're married to, or that dude who you're dating, that guy that you're, I mean, when he looks at you, all he sees is his girl, his woman, his bride, his boo. You make him feel like Hercules. That's the way you make him feel. Because to him, you're all his. And guess what? He is all yours. Every man has what I call some caveman attributes. That's what I call it, caveman attributes. Every man inside of us. And it's as if we went out and we found you and we fought off all the suitors. Every other man who was trying to court you and trying to bring you home and trying to marry you. We won. We beat those rascals off and we won. We won this particular prize, if you will. And that's the way men look at it. Men look at it in a way that we won. We beat up all these other suitors. So when we look at you, no matter what you see about you, we see something totally different. All we can truly see is our prize. Yes, you're ours. That's what we see. We see that you are ours, and that's just the mindset of a man. Okay. Now don't get me wrong. Your man isn't blind, so to some of your what I call imperfections, but the brother is blindly and madly in love with you, and so all he sees is the best of you. That's what he sees, the best of you. And if you had any what I call common sense, you would just glow in that, because he doesn't see anything negative until you show it to him, until you speak it to him. So this is where it kind of turns a little bit. Now, women, just follow me. Let me ask you a question. How often do you complain to your husband or to your boyfriend about the appearance of your body? How often? Think for a moment. It don't take too long. How often do you complain about the appearance of your body? I do realize that you feel like you're in competition. All these TV commercials and social media and just the way women dress. I mean, you feel like you have to up your game. And don't get me wrong, you should look your best at all times. I have no problem with that. But there's a lot of pressure on you. But I want to ask you the question, how often do you complain to your man about the appearance of your body? Now, I didn't ask you how often both of you talk about some of the things you're going through as you're aging in life and you're aging gracefully together. That's cool. I ask you, how often do you complain to your husband or in front of your husband about your body appearance? How do you think he processes all that complaining about what once was but can never be? How do you think he processes that? I'm going to tell you how he processes that if you keep complaining. Because his mind, keep in mind, his mind processes the words that's coming out of your mouth just a little bit different than the way you think he should. So as you pick up your, what I call an invisible paintbrush, and here you go. Remember I told you you're some of the best painters in the world with your words? Well, as you pick up your invisible paintbrush, I call it your invisible verbal paintbrush, and consistently complain to your man, to him, about the increases in, watch this, in your gray hair on your body, watch this, or the loss of the hair on your body. I mean, you're just telling him stuff, but you're complaining about it. You're consistently talking about it. Or the number of wrinkles on your skin, or how much cellulite you have formed on your thighs, or how flabby your arms are becoming, or how often you have to run to the restroom, or how big certain body parts are becoming more enlarged, or how particular body parts are moving more southwards. And I'm not talking about like birds migrating to the south for the winter. You know what I'm talking about. It's not like your husband or your boyfriend is blind, and as if they don't see that your body's losing some of its firmness. But so is his body. I mean, he's losing some muscle tone and some firmness. But you don't hear that brother complaining. You don't hear him painting a picture daily with his voice about how he's aging. All your husband can see, all he can see, all that rascal can see is a picture in his heart of that young girl or that young lady that he first met many years ago. That's all he sees. As we age, our body parts, our eyesight, and many other body functions are not as they once were, but guess what? That's a part of aging gracefully. That's a part of aging gracefully and not in vain. That's just what that is. That's a part of that. I would advise you, women, do whatever you have to do. I mean, you got to look cute. Now, I get it. We love it. I think you should. I mean, we love that. But do whatever you have to do to make you feel good about yourself. I mean, just do it. I mean, if you have to tuck it, if you have to pull it, if you have to stretch it, if you have to twist it, suck it, weave it, mask it, whatever you have to do, stop painting a picture about it with all your complaints. Just do it. Get it done, whatever it takes. Because the complaining is doing something that you couldn't imagine. You can't think of it. But let me tell you, the more you complain, the more you pick up the invisible paintbrush and you paint a picture of yourself to the point your husband feels comfortable to also, watch this, pick up his invisible paintbrush and start painting verbally your physical flaws, your mental flaws, and your emotional flaws. That's what he started doing. But remember now, don't get upset at him. I mean, you're not just talking to your husband. You're also talking to a man who looks on the outside. He looks at the physical appearance of a woman more than the inside appearance of a woman. That's who you're talking to. You're talking to your man. So men are visually, we're just visual creatures. We don't need your assistance in painting a picture. It's an innate ability that we have to look on the outside. That's what we're doing. We view, we have on the inside of us a view magnet, if you will, to look on the outside of you. So you're painting a picture in front of him, not the picture that he married, not the picture that he fell in love with, So sooner or later, watch this, he begins to feed off of your negative paintbrush strokes about yourself. And he starts asking himself the question, why should he settle for less? If you don't feel good about you, why should he? That's what he asks himself. Now you have him comparing the current you against the old you. When you were much younger and vibrant, watch this. Now he begins to compare you against your friends and other women. Don't get mad at him. Remember, you picked up the invisible paintbrush first. Your biggest mistake to me was when you allow him to pick up the invisible paintbrush, watch this, that you brought to the conversation, and you gave him permission to start painting what he sees based on the picture you have planted in his mind. Repeat after me. Don't give that rascal the paintbrush. Let me say it again. Don't give your husband the paintbrush. Don't give it to him. Because if you do, he will start painting what he had and not what he has. The picture he paints, watch this, it will have magically removed all those flaws you have been complaining about. Watch this. This brother has photoshopped you. That's what you let him do. Yeah, he photoshopped you. He has painted what he wants now. Yeah, you've given him permission to go in and pick up the paintbrush. I'm telling you, don't do it. Don't let that man pick up that invisible paintbrush. But he's getting it because you're complaining. Don't allow anyone to paint you out of your own picture. Remember this one statement. The more you complain, the more he compares. Remember this. The more you complain, the more he compares. Stop painting a bad image of yourself. Men are very visual. Stop deleting yourself from your family photo. Put down your invisible verbal paintbrush and start speaking life into yourself by encouraging yourself and by loving yourself. I mean, you only have one body for this one life. One body for this one life. We all do. So you best get busy enjoying you some you and work towards being the best you that you can be. My advice to women is that you get out of the paintbrush business. Yeah. My advice is every woman, get out of the paintbrush business and stop painting verbal pictures to your husband that devalues you. And instead speak life into yourself and enjoy the beauty of growing older and wiser. That's the way you have to look at it. You're growing older and wiser. Stop talking about the flaws you have. That's life. It's going to happen to all of us. But for you to keep projecting those, keep pointing those out, you're devaluing yourself in front of him without even knowing it. Because your husband will start painting what he once knew. And then he starts painting what he wants. And before you realize it, watch this, standing next to him in the picture frame on the wall, it's not you, it's what he once knew. He has painted you out and painted her in, whoever her is. He's painted her in, a younger you, a more attractive, he's painted her in based on your feedback, based on your input. So once you give your husband access to the paintbrush, he will verbally paint in flaws that you didn't realize you had. That's what he'll do. Never give your husband the paintbrush because you can't trust who he will paint in. You can't trust it. You just gave him the opportunity to paint you out of the picture with your own words of frustration. My advice is that you put down your invisible paintbrush. Well, hold on. Before you do that, go back and paint yourself back into your own portrait. That's what you do. Let your husband enjoy the picture of you that he has in his heart and admires even when you don't. I pray that you listen to me. I pray that you get it, that we all have an invisible paintbrush. But I pray that we have to realize that as we're talking to our loved ones, all the complaining you're doing, all it's doing is putting distance between the two of you. He never sees all the flaws you have. All he sees is that girl that he loves, that he fell in love with. And all he wants to do is embrace you and love you. I know you're not as small as you used to be. Who is? Yeah, you can find a few women who still got it going on, and that's cool. And hey, power to them. But if you're not, he's looking at every curve you have, and he's thinking those are his curves. And all he wants to do is enjoy every curve you have. Let him enjoy you. Quit complaining about you. If you don't like who you are, take care of business. Make it better. But stop complaining in front of him, because when you push him away, you're thinking, wow, he just left me. No, 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 no. You left him. You left him verbally. You start painting a picture of yourself in a negative manner. What do you want the brother to do? The brother's human. Now, I believe in staying there until death do us part. But God dog it, you got to give me something to stay there with. You got to give me something to work with. Yeah, be positive in this thing. Yeah, let me enjoy all of you. Running around, putting on all this covering clothes, trying to cover up so I can't see what's mine. That's a recipe for failure. If you're gonna have it, then enjoy it. Yeah. If you've gotten bigger, enjoy every bit of it. Let him enjoy every bit of it. Hey, be yourself. Woo your man. Don't let someone else come in and woo your man more than you can. Don't let that happen. Stay focused on what you should be doing. Put down your invisible paintbrush and take care of your business. I pray that this message has been a blessing to you. Women, I want to encourage you. There's so much competition that you get yourself into, but that man of yours, that's your man. That man has eyes for you until you start turning his eyes away from you. Don't do that to yourself. Come on, that's what I call self-sabotage. No. Stay engaged. Stay focused. No. Show him what you're working with. Do your thing and keep your man eyes on you. Be blessed. And remember Romans 10:9. Hey, God is God. You have a blessed day.